I live in Danby, New York, which is on the lower part of Tompkins County. It's countryside. And I'm also on the Danby Town Board, and I chair a task force in Danby on gas drilling that started about a year and a half, 2 years ago. A couple of years ago, I started going to some of the public forums and some of the talks that were given that were sponsored by Shaleshock, which is an organization in Tompkins County that's doing a lot of work on gas drilling. And it was pretty overwhelming, the information. And I think I spent about 6 months getting very depressed. And then I started working with people on the town board in Danby to try to form a group, to figure it out, to learn about it, to educate the community and do all those kinds of things. So we started that in the end of 2008, I think. And then in March of 2009, we had a good forum. We invited a whole bunch of different speakers to come. And through that, we got a real group of people that's now formed into a task force. And then last year, I ran for the town board. So I ran on this issue primarily. And I went door to door for 2 months, for hours and hours every weekend. And I talked to people about how much they knew, what their feelings were. It was interesting. It's scary because most people are pretty uninformed about it. But even when they have just a minimal consciousness of it, that this thing is coming in, it's coming soon, it's this industrial process, they'll say, I'm really scared about the water. That's the big issue. Danby is divided in half, and half of the watershed goes into the Cayuga Lake, and the other half of the watershed, all the little streams and wetlands, go into the Susquehanna River. So, and we have what's called unprotected aquifers, which is aquifers where if something spills, because it's a kind of sand and gravel, it just goes right down into the aquifer. We're all on private drinking supplies. We have only one small municipal water group in West Danby, but that's also from a well. And so we're all on wells, all our water comes from wells, and people are pretty scared about that they may not understand much else about it, but they do understand that. However, most people really just don't have time to think about stuff like that at all. And so I handed them a sheet, and I just said, this is what I'm focusing on, this is what I'm doing, we have a task force, and ever so often people would put me down, put my name down, I'll come to meetings and stuff, so it was kind of good in that way. But I think most people just felt like it was just, oh, I can't even think about that. Well, the town board in Danby and the town boards everywhere in New York State are scrambling to be able to be prepared for this industrialization of rural America and rural New York. And it is heavy industrialization. So the problem is that towns don't have jurisdiction on everything. The DEC has specifically said you do not have jurisdiction on water resources, which is the big issue for gas drilling. We do have jurisdiction on zoning, we have jurisdiction on roads, and so we're trying very hard to put road ordinances on. Right now, Danby's working on having a public hearing in July on a road construction law, which is a process by which we become part of a permitting agency. So it allows us to get in the loop. The nightmare situation for a town is to find out there's a gas drilling well that's begun and you didn't even know about it. So the main thing is getting yourself into that loop. And then if you become a permitting agency, so we're saying to the gas companies, if you want to drill in Danby, you have to fill out a permit, and in order to fill out a permit, you have to agree to certain conditions, and you will be putting escrow accounts in so that you can repair our roads. So we're working on that. We're working on also a road preservation law, which is much more complicated because what it is if you trash our roads, you have to pay for it. My understanding from reading a lot about it is that the gas companies tend to just say, take us to court, we're not going to do it unless they have. And so what we're trying to get is they're going to sign an agreement, and it's going to say, I will do this. There's a lot of zoning that you can use. We're also working on critical environmental areas. We're trying to designate certain parts of Danby as a critical environmental area so that this will have to have a specific environmental impact statement, a site-specific research done, and hopefully in some of these areas they won't want to drill. Wetlands and watersheds and all that kind of thing. But I mean, towns, the ability of towns to legislate is very, very, very limited. And so I really feel that this kind of statewide organization is extremely important. I don't have any faith in the Department of Environmental Conservation doing the right thing, especially after reading the SGEIS. They're under pressure, enormous pressure from lobbyists. They're under enormous pressure from political appointees who are gonna do whatever they have to do to get reelected. And so I just don't feel like they're gonna protect us. I think the only thing they're gonna respond to is a huge statewide pressure. And so this group is the beginning of that. Because up until now, what's been happening, even in Tompkins County, is we're all reinventing the wheel. We're all sitting there in our little communities trying to organize, and organizing over here and organizing over here, and it's very hard to coordinate that. It's hard. We come together for these large forums and workshops, and then we go back again, and we need to be able to work together, because the gas companies are very, very, this is very planned. They're very good at this. So that's why I feel that this is really, really important. I'm very excited about being here today and doing this.